Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl here, Do Maybe. Yes, you know the vibe. And on today's topic, we're going to be talking about growing up in an African home or being raised by African parents. I want you guys to engage in this video because I'm sure that like majority of us went through what I'm about to talk about. Like we knew what it was growing up in an African home. The first thing about growing up in an African home is that your parents will literally terrorize you. I don't know if you will get what I'm saying, but like your parents will terrorize you. Is it the beating? These people will literally give you punishments that are unheard of. Because mom, why would you be telling me to kneel down and carry something on my head? Why? What have I done? I don't know. If you grew up in an African home and you were not beaten with cane, koboko, wire, turning stick, those hot slaps that our mothers used to throw at our backs, like if you didn't receive any of that, I'm not sure you grew up in a typical African home, because I'm sure a lot of people relate to this. I don't know, I feel like growing up, like beating made children very hardened. Like at the end of the day, most of them will be like, what's the worst they can do? Is it not just to beat me? They'll go back and do whatever it is they want to do. You can't stop them because they've already made up their mind. They became so adamant. So honestly, I feel like beating children is not the best way to correct them or to tell them that whatever they are doing is wrong, or to give them advice. Beating is not what is going to make them stop. Severe beating just makes them really hardened, and they'll still go and do whatever it is they want to do. Who else has noticed that African parents would never apologize? I don't know if your mommy or your daddy has ever apologized to you. Please tell me in the comment section, because I really need to know that this is not just my parents doing. They've never apologized, like never. I've never sat down and thought about once where my parents would do something and they know at the end of the day they realize that I was right and they would just apologize. Which brings me to this story. There was one time we had an house help. She was from our village, so my mom hired her, and the next thing my mommy loves cooking it like a lot, so she made this very big batch of moi. Normally now, since you know we already have house help, I was not going to do anything. The house help forgot to warm the moi, and the following day the moi got spoiled. My mom literally punished me for this moment. She cut my hair, she beat me, she took me to my school, to my principal, to embarrass me in front of everybody. That is what a typical African mother would do to you. Honestly, if your mom has never reported you in school, like you're really lucky. Mom reported me in school, so they will disgrace me on the assembly ground in front of my juniors. Me that I was forming big girl senior with my slim fitted skirt and everything. See embarrassment. And that day, I remember one of my seniors insulted me, telling me I was looking like a cat. I hope you are saying this and God is watching you. That is a very bad thing to do to somebody. Which brings me to the point of, at the end of the day, she found out that it wasn't my fault that the moment got spoiled, and it was the house help's fault. What did she do? She went to the market, bought me new slippers, new underwears, new tops. She never said sorry. She never said sorry. I mean, the hair that was cut from my head, I literally hoarded this for years. Anytime I pick it up, when you're just a child and you're really stupid, I'll pick it up and start crying. So African parents will never apologize. If your parents used to apologize to you, man, you're damn lucky. Another thing is, African parents will literally compare you to somebody that you know that is worse than you. They will compare you to anything it is. Like they will literally compare you all the time. It will be like, look at your friend Lagbaja, does she have 2 hair? They will just always compare you. I don't know what it is. Like, what makes comparison make them feel better, or what makes them feel like if you compare me to somebody I'll actually do better? I don't know. And I feel like most of our parents were raised this way, so they don't know any other way than to raise us like this. But I'm thankful that things are changing with this generation. But I'm talking about typical African parents, not this our generation parents. So typical African parents, please guys, don't forget to please be dropping your experiences in the comment section, because I need to see this. Like, we really need to laugh, because growing up in an African home was hell, kinda. Because if you notice, like, a lot of us have matured, and even going home sometimes you'll be like, I'm not going home, what do I want to go and do at home? because at the end of the day they will just complain, oh, you are sleeping too much, you are pressing phone too much, you're not helping us with the outros. They always see something to complain about. African parents and complain 5 and 6. Why are you complaining? Like, why would you always find something to complain about? I'm literally sitting in the house and you're telling me that my clothes is too short, but I'm not going anywhere. African parents complain a lot. Another thing is, African parents will never answer deep questions. They'll be like, shut up your mouth. Is that what you're supposed to know at this your age? Is that what you're supposed to focus on? Is that your book? And have you noticed that African parents also never make mistakes? Has your mom ever admitted or your dad ever admitted that they made any mistake? Please, if they have, tell me. African parents will never admit that they made a mistake. And come to think of it, all our parents were first class students and all our parents were straight A students too. Because if you bring a bad result and they say, when I was your mate and I was in secondary school, I was doing this and I was doing that. African parents don't used to fail. I don't understand. And the truth is, when you check most of their results, some of them were also straight F students, but they will never admit to it. Why? Oh my god, we love our African parents so much. I really appreciate their upbringing, because in some ways, like, it shaped us, but in some ways, like, it really made some of us turn out bad, honestly, like, if I'm speaking about it. But if you are telling me that, mom, you had first class, my friend's mom also had first class, my friend's dad had first class, everybody around me had first class, so please, mommy, during your set, who was the person getting an F? Like, mommy, check it out now, check it out. You're lying. But they'll never admit that they're lying. And have you also noticed that once an African parent tells you this, that this is the truth, any other thing that they tell you does not count, and that any other person tells you does not count? Whatever your African parent tell you, if they say it is A, it is A. Even if the correct thing is B, it is A, and you have to agree with the A. Growing up in an African home was one, and you can never argue with them. Argue with your mom. Like, who do you think you are? You want to argue with your mother? Do you have a death sentence or something? You argue with your mother now, they'll call your family member and say, hey, this child has killed me, and call family meeting on your head. And at the end of the day, they say, or when they are beating you, you raise your hand up, and your mom will be like, she has killed me, she wants to kill me. Hey god, I don't know if like you guys literally went through these things, but I'm sure that a lot of us went through this. Like, African parents were so dramatic. African parents are the most dramatic set of people on this planet. Imagine, like, why would you be beating me and I'll be begging you, mommy, please, I'll collect the cane from you, and you say I want to kill you? Mommy, I don't intend to kill you. Why are you calling family meeting? And you will now have to start begging. Then all the family members will start calling you aside one by one and talking to you. And have you noticed that growing up in an African home, we had like nosy family members, all those aunties with those their cobbler shoes that they always put their mouth into whatever it is that did not concern them. We always had that in my family. And growing up, like, my aunties were really rich and everything, but you see those ones from the village, or those ones that they don't know anything about you, they'll be the ones to have the most things to say about you. And I wonder why that's because, hello ma, what's your business? Like, excuse me, you literally have no business in whatever this person is saying, but they always like to poke nose. Like, those aunties, now are even the ones that will lie against you, and your parents will believe them over you. Why? Like, why is it that an outsider will come and report it to your mom, and your mom will literally believe the outsider over you, especially when you're young? Like, now, if you tell my mom I did something, she'll be like, that's not my daughter. But when I was growing up, she was going to believe you. And African parents were the ones that made us lie a lot, because we knew that at the end of the day, if we told them the truth, we were going to be killed with beating. The beating was going to be too much, it was going to be brutal. So I remember an incident where I broke something and it was a mistake, but at the end of the day, I was like, hey, my mom is going to kill me, what am I going to do? And me and my sisters planned, and we left the thing there, and she was like, who broke this thing? We were like, that's why you bought it from the market. We were even planning to come and tell you that this thing has been leaking. We never told her the truth until today. I'm sure if she's watching this video, mommy, I'm sorry, but I'm the one that broke the Oroki youth bought fancy Rita at that time. But if I admitted that I was the one that broke it, she would have killed me. She would beat me. I would have been done for. Another thing about growing up in an African home is, I don't know, but this is very personal for me, because I've asked like majority of people, and none of them ever told me that an African parent sat them down to give them sex education. Why? Like, sex, I don't know why sex was something, growing up in an African home, sex was something you shouldn't talk about. Why? You want to talk to an African parent about sex? You want them to call the pastor on your head and take you for deliverance and think you are possessed by a spirit? Sex in an African home was a no-go area. It was a topic not to be spoken about because you were not of age or anything. Even when you're in secondary school and you're already discussing these things amongst your friends, or your teachers were already telling you in biology that, oh, if a man sleeps with a woman, she can get pregnant, but you still do not know how that worked, and you want to get more knowledge and say, oh, let me ask my mom. Your mom will be like, is that what you're supposed to be thinking about? Is that your book? Like, I knew a lot of my friends that had boyfriends in secondary school, and they still never told their parents. Like, in secondary school, you are telling your mom or your dad, you're admitting to them that you have a boyfriend. Do you have a death wish or something? Like, are you willing? Being an adult presently, I also keep wondering why sex is not talked about. Like, why is sex under discussion? And I'm still going to make a full video about sex and everything, but like, I still just wanted to know. Maybe I'm going to interview an African parent just to hear their point of view, but I still imagine and wonder why sex was really under discussed, because there was no point why they wouldn't tell us about sex. I don't still get it. I don't understand why. Because for me, when I started my period, it was like my mom was like, if you allow any boy touch you and you get pregnant, it's over for you. Mom, what do you mean a boy will touch me and I'll get pregnant? I didn't understand the thing, and I didn't know anything. That was what made most people want to explore, because they did not have enough knowledge. Nobody told them about contraceptives. I remember when my mom had a store, because she had a drugstore and everything, and she wanted to sell Posinior 2 to adults. She'd be like, go outside and play, and they'll buy Posinior 2. I used to wonder what Posinior 2 was, until growing up now that I knew that Posinior 2 was a contraceptive. Same thing with condoms. Like, she never allowed us touch it or go near it, like it was some sort of taboo or something. And just now, recently, she was telling me, oh, I hope you're teaching your sisters about sex education. I'm like, Mommy, you never told me anything about sex education. How do you know I know something about sex education? She said, I know now, internet, you've already read about it. I was like, Mommy, I beg. I said, Mommy, I don't know anything about it. As an adult, I remember talking to one of my friends one time, and I was having cramps. And I was like, oh, my stomach is paining me, I feel really bad. It was like, oh, are you on your period? I was like, don't say that. It was like, why is it something to be shy about? Like, why were we raised to be shy about our periods, our bodies? Like, you have to cover up, you have to do this. And the boys, like, most of them, they were like, in most homes, like in few homes, they were trained really responsibly, but in most homes, they were like free to do whatever it is they wanted. And I wonder, like, why? Like, why am I supposed to be conscious of my body, conscious of the way I'm sitting? If you were a girl and you sat down and your skirt was open, you were a bad girl, you were a prostitute and all of that. There was nothing about sexual awareness, and I wonder why that is. I mean, if most of the information I know now, or I can't say majority of people know it, I know it now, but if I knew it at age 13 or at age 15, it would have made me make better choices and better decisions. And I hope that every parent watching this will give their children appropriate sex education. So guys, we've come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I really want you to tell me your experience in the comment section. Please don't forget, tell me of that time where your mommy wiped Jukoboko on your neck. Tell me what you did. And yes, don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and comment on this video. Love you all.